Realmente está emocionante aqui.
É uma imagem sintomática. Aí o Juninho. Agradecendo realmente o apoio.
Juninho will no doubt go down in history as the best free kick taker of his generation, scoring double the amount of Andrea Pirlo, David Beckham, and Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, just look at this compilation of his very best strikes. His technique and accuracy is something else. The storied footballing journey of Juninho Pernambucano began back in 1993, when the Brazilian midfielder ran onto the field for this first time in the colors of his hometown club, Sport Recife. It was during his time at Sport that the first signs began showing of Juninho being a talent very rare to the game of football. Juninho, then a young teenager, helped Sport to victory in 2 regional titles and showed from the start that he possessed a unique mastery over the ball. The ease with which he picked his passes and dictated play was reflective of someone who had been in the game for many years more than he had. But it was his incredible ability from set-piece situations that had caught the eye of the big fish in Brazil. And in 2005, Juninho's exploits earned him a move to Vasco da Gama. Juninho's displays at Sport had been impressive, but at Vasco, the Brazilian took his game to the next level and as a result played his way firmly into the hearts of the club's fans. Such was their adoration for Juninho that they nicknamed him Rainho de São Januário, the Little King of São Januário. Juninho, though, was little only in his name, as the midfield maestro delivered some mighty big performances for Vasco, including one in 1998 against European giants Real Madrid in the now defunct Intercontinental Cup. Vasco lost the tie 2-1, but Juninho, who had scored the equalizer earlier in the game, announced himself to the world as a player to watch out for in the future. His 295 game stay at Vasco lasted just short of 6 years and rewarded him with 2 Brazilian championships and a brace of Continental Cups, while on a personal level he earned himself the Player of the Year and Midfielder of the Year awards. Legal issues and boardroom controversies within the club, coupled with Juninho's ambition to display his talent at a larger scale, saw the talented midfielder depart for the white and blue of Olympique Lyonnais in 2001. Given the immense talent that Juninho possessed, Vasco fans had expected that he would move on at some stage, but it didn't make his departure any less painful. They had lost their little king. The Brazilian spoke to 442 in December about when he realized he was a free kick specialist and his technique. Quote, "I started by copying free kicks taken by Marcelinho, who played for the Corinthians. He was one of my inspirations, and the first player I'd ever seen hit the ball head-on and make it dance in the air," he told the publication. Quote, "That tells you that the technique isn't mine either. Didi, who won the World Cup with Brazil in 1958 and 1962, was doing it back then too. Everyone since has just been tweaking the formula. I was always great at shooting, but as a child I didn't have enough power to score free kicks. I played futsal until I was 13 and didn't really score much, but it was around then that I started to take some free kicks. The wall was too close though, so it was rare that I'd hit the goal. It wasn't until I got to France that I mastered my technique." Juninho was always destined to play in Europe, but the decision to move to France surprised many, as the mercurial playmaker had been attracting the attention of clubs much bigger in stature than Lyon, who at the time had never won a single domestic league title. That was all about to change. It was clear from the start that Lyon's manager at the time, Jacques Santini, intended to build his squad around Juninho, as the Brazilian's passing range and creativity, along with the constant threat he provided from set pieces, made him the fundamental component at Stade de Jalon. It was a tactic that worked perfectly for Santini, as Lyon, inspired by their new signing, went on to win their first ever League One title in his debut season. Juninho's arrival and the subsequent stellar performances that followed had sparked the club's historic race to their first ever title. To the delight of the Lagon faithful, this would prove only to be a tasty starter before an incredible main course. Italian legend Andrea Pirlo admitted to idolizing the man from Recife in his 2014 autobiography, I Think Therefore I Play. As he wrote, quote, "During his time at Lyon, that man made the ball do some quite extraordinary things. He'd lay it on the ground, twist his body into a few strange shapes, take his run up and score. He never got it wrong. Never. I checked out his stats and realized it couldn't just be chance. He was like an orchestra conductor who'd been assembled upside down, with the baton held by his feet instead of his hands. He'd give you the thumbs up by raising his big toe. Somebody at IKEA was having a good laugh the day they put him together. And over the next few years, Juninho would go from strength to strength. His creativity and playmaking skills, long-range goals, and overall leadership made him the driving force in the center of Lyon's midfield. But it was his brilliance from dead ball situations that had seen him become one of the most feared players in world football. Every shriek of the whistle, regardless of where on the opponent's side of the pitch it was blown, was met with a sense of anticipation and excitement by the Lyon fans and players alike. There was a sense of inevitability when Juninho stood over the ball. No matter the impossibility of the angle or the distance from the goal, the result was always the same. The ball was going to hit the back of the net. Thierry Henry once said in an interview, "I have never seen a free kick taker like him. He is by far the greatest in history. I never tried and I will never try, because I don't know how I can fix it. What he did was nonsense. It was not normal." The master technician had an incredible repertoire when it came to set pieces. He pioneered his trademark knuckleball free kick, which was a technique that sent the ball flying towards the goal with the most bizarre trajectory, often changing directions 3 or 4 times in flight. The knuckleball has since been adopted by some of the world's best players today, but unlike them, Juninho honed his skills to each and every style of free kick imaginable. The fact that Juninho could do just about anything from any range with a static ball made him incredibly dangerous and unpredictable. He wrote his name into Lyon folklore with some of the best free kicks of all time. The most famous of these came in the Champions League in 2003, when Juninho hit a long-range effort at goal, sending Bayern Munich's Oliver Kahn, the world's best keeper at the time, smashing into his own upright. Needless to say, the ball went in. There were many, many more, but the genius doesn't lie in the number of goals scored. It lies in the technique, the sheer class and even audacity that Juninho showed when taking the set pieces. His free kicks were a thing of beauty and he took pride in them. Juninho Pernambucano was a free kick specialist in every sense of the word. He was by no means a one-trick pony though. His impact and importance within the Lyon side went well beyond his set-piece abilities, and in 2005, under the guidance of new manager Gerard Houllier, Juninho was given the armband at Lyon. This responsibility came as a direct result of the influence and importance he had within the team. He was their go-to guy, and more often than not, he was the player that would make the difference in crunch games with defense-splitting passing and match-winning goals. Juninho was the alpha and omega in the city of Lyon. Juninho scored an incredible total of 76 free kicks throughout his career. The only person that even comes close to the Lyon legend is goalkeeper Rogerio Ceni, who netted 61 career free kicks. It is interesting to note that neither Lyon nor Vasco have won their respective league titles again since the departure of Juninho. His final match for Lyon was an emotional one, but was topped off in the greatest of fashions with the club legend scoring his 100th goal for the club from the penalty spot. He received a hero send-off as his name rang out from the tear-filled faces in the crowd. It was the end of an era. It was the end of the greatest era the club had ever seen, by the departure of the greatest player the club had ever called its own. Juninho's time at Lyon ended sooner than it should have, and at his final press conference, the Lyon legend sat silently. The tears that filled his eyes told a story that no words could ever do it justice. His Lyon record reads like something out of a fairy tale. The Brazilian won 14 titles in just 8 years with the club, including a period of incredible dominance of the league that saw Lyon win it 7 times in a row. He was named in the Team of the Year 3 times and won the French Player of the Year award in 2006. His greatest achievements, though, came as the reflection of his service to the club. Juninho, as he was affectionately named by the OL fans, is the club's 7th highest appearance holder, 4th highest goal scorer, and top goal scorer in the club's history in European competitions. Lyon's loss was Al Jarafa's gain, though, as the Qatari club snapped the inspirational Juninho up and immediately handed him the captain's armband. Success seemed to follow Juninho, as in his first season in Qatar, Al Jarafa went on to complete an incredible treble-winning season. Admittedly, Juninho did come in for some stick from moving for the money, but any questions about his character were swiftly answered 2 seasons later when Juninho returned to a now financially impaired Vasco, accepting a paycheck of what is alleged to have been only £55 per week. After spending a year and a half at Vasco, Juninho made a move to the ever-expanding MLS where he joined New York Red Bulls before returning once more to Vasco for his final hurrah. Throughout all of this, Juninho lent his golden boot to the Brazilian national side. He was handed his debut by Wanderlei Luxemburgo back in 1999 and went on to be a part of the 2005 Confederations Cup winning side. The sad truth, though, is that his success with the national side never matched that of club level, and in 2006, after Brazil's disappointing World Cup campaign, Juninho called it quits on international football, having amassed 43 appearances and 7 goals for the Seleção. On the 30th of January 2014, on the day of his 39th birthday, Juninho announced to the world that he had decided to hang up his boots. The Maestro had spent 20 years turning the football pitch into his playground, amassing no fewer than 23 top-flight titles and a bucket full of personal awards. Despite this, his career was not glittered in as much glory as many others of his stature, but he will undoubtedly go down in history in the eyes of the Leon and Vasco faithful as one of the all-time greats. The sadness of his retirement was most felt by the fans whom he had become family of. But the world overbid a sad farewell to the greatest free kick taker of all time, and one of the classiest players to ever grace the game.